This is a book. Well, it's not just any book. It's called Master Your Brain, and it has an author. Alright. His name's Philip Adcock. Adcock? Basically, he makes some pretty big claims. He says this book is about empowering you to reach whatever goals you want to set for yourself, whenever and however you want. They do say you can do anything you put your mind to. Originally, my goal for getting this book was to incentivize me to start reading again. I believe that reading is very essential, and for lack of better words, staying smart. This book seemed to be the perfect one to help me out with that, seeing as the chapters are all, 6 pages, which takes away the pressure of having to read a long chapter that deters you away from actually wanting to read. I'm also a very firm believer that your brain is underrated in the mass scope of things, so this kind of knocked out the bare minimum of things that actually interest me. This book recommends that you read the whole book through and through, which I did, and then after that, they say that each chapter you're supposed to take a week of your life and try to apply the things that you learned from that chapter into your life. And that's what I wanted to share with you guys. In this book, there was a lot of information thrown at you. Many of it scientific. Along with that, Mr. Adcock makes many claims about his status as a psychologist, and despite my looking, there isn't much information on him as I was expecting. But I'm coming into this with hopes of improving myself in some way, shape, or form, and I'm not just going to believe everything that's in this book just because it's coming from a man of many degrees, and I hope no one watching will do that either. Always do your research. The first chapter is titled The Human Computer. I'm sure we all have heard plenty of times of how powerful our brains are, and people tend to compare them to computers. Mostly because computers are what people think is the pinnacle of intelligence. They tell you everything you need and create powerful things like YouTube, Google, spaceships, satellites, and whatever else you can think of, really. Computers have gotten so small that they can even fit on your wrist and become such a normalcy that you don't even think it's a computer. This chapter goes over the amazing complexities of how powerful our brain really is. Some of the snippets are our brain is only 2% of our body weight, but consumes 20% of the energy we use daily. So that's about 400 to 500 calories a day. Along with that, our brain can handle over 20 quadrillion calculations per second, while computer processors are stuck in the billions. Yes, our brain is powerful, but the book puts a test to the limits. Look at this pool. Now close your eyes and listen to this sound. Keep your eyes closed. Now visualize the pool you just saw, the sound you just heard, and now think of the smell of chlorine. Could you do all three? The book states it's nearly impossible to do without the outside help that I just gave you. Personally, I thought this was kind of stupid. Because not that often that I have the ability to think of a smell and then physically smell it. So for me, at least, it felt like an impossible task from the jump. Finally, the book explained the science behind practice makes perfect. The more often a person uses the same neural pathway, the stronger and more embedded that the behavior becomes. That's why, for example, it's so difficult to break bad habits such as smoking, biting nails, or needing to have a video playing before you can start eating. On the flip side, practice makes perfect because it strengthens those same neural pathways, and that's how we improve ourselves. What do I think? Personally, I think the things that the book wants you to remember from the chapter aren't really the most tangible things in real life. They want you to know that practice strengthens desired neural pathways. In some way, shape, or form, we all know that. Practice makes perfect. They want you to know that a human brain can perform 20 quadrillion calculations per second. But we only can focus on one or two things simultaneously. This one, I guess, could be applied to real life, seeing as multitasking, but even multitasking isn't a psychologically real thing. So I'm kind of on the fence about what this chapter wants you to remember in terms of applying it to real life, but for how powerful our brains are, I feel like we underestimate our brains and we lean on computers a little too much. Yes, delegation can make you more productive in a lot of cases, i.e., many of the technologies and softwares that we have currently, but people are delegating to a computer and not working their brain, making them reliant on the computer. We need to learn how to do math by hand to understand it. Then I'm okay with using a calculator.